module 3, let's say part 1. Okay. So managing servers and networks. So in this part, we will see how you have to prepare actually your networking environment, okay, by doing discoveries of your VM servers through the manager. We have to deal with several kind of, let's say, reconfiguration of the networks. And we will see actually how you can use, let's say, VLANs, and how you can work with, let's say, networks that they will have or not VLANs, okay? And then we will see how you can modify any kind of existing networking configuration to your environments. So again, we have, let's say, introductory section into this course, okay, that it will just explain you how you have to perform preliminary configurations, okay, and then we have, let's say, a more advanced part that it will tell you or give you more insights about the additional steps that you have to perform in order to tune your network services, okay. So in this kind of script, we have, let's say, the full workflow that you have to perform whenever you want to configure your services, or let's say an IT infrastructure based on virtualization. So as you can see here, the first step, once that you have installed the VM servers, is just to discover them, okay, through a guided process or a command line process. And then once that these servers are discovered, then you have to create some additional networks, things that we will see on the next slides. So before to start to use any kind of Oracle VM server as a kind of virtualization support for your virtual machine, you have to discover them, okay? So this kind of discovery has to be done by the Oracle VM manager. And when you have to discover these servers, okay, you have to provide the network port that it has been used to be configured as this kind of bonded interface, okay. So and of course the port that it has been configured, and also the password of the OVS agent. So this kind of discovery can be done either by the user interface or the command line, okay. You have to provide this kind of additional parameters, okay, and then after some time you will see that the server that it was in an existing state, okay, then it will pass in a state where it's owned by an Oracle VM manager. So you will see actually this kind of information that we have here into the screen of your OVS server. So in these cases, the server is not assigned to any kind of particular configuration, but it's one particular manager who has taken the hold, and then this manager, through the command line or let's say the web interface, will be able to perform some additional modifications. So whenever these servers, they are discovered and owned by an Oracle VM manager, then they can be used to, let's say, participate to different kind of configurations of your servers, okay. You can maybe use some of the servers to manage the storage, okay, discover or manage the storage. Some of the servers, they can be used also to manage the I/O, okay, by just importing the files, templates into the repositories, to create new networks, or maybe to deploy virtual machines, okay. So the operations that you have to execute to the Oracle VM servers after that they have been already discovered is maybe you have to make, let's say, a logical deletion of this Oracle VM servers. You just remove them from the MySQL database configuration, rediscover them if you have changed something into their characteristics, release the ownership. So in this case, another Oracle VM manager, it can take the configuration of the server, change the name, the description of the Oracle VM server, remove them from a service pool, configure the intelligent platform management interface, place the server in a maintenance mode because you might need to perform some updates or some maintenance into the servers, start, stop, restart, or maybe kill the OVM server, okay, stop the hypervisors or whatever is running into the servers, or even upgrade the Oracle VM servers. In cases that you have a specific EPMI interface, okay, then you should configure this with a particular IP address and user access information. And in this case, the Oracle VM server, okay, it will use this kind of information to kill, okay, the server host. Otherwise, if this kind of interface is not really available, then commands they will be sent to the wake on LAN, which has to be configured in the BIOS, okay, in order to start or perform the kill operations. So we have another quiz. When you use the Oracle VM Manager to discover an Oracle VM server that is running on a physical host with EPMI, the EPMI information from this server is retrieved automatically. The answer is false, B. So the next step is to see how the networks they will be managed or created or modified, okay. We will see how the Oracle VM Manager is using networks, what are the network functions, the roles of the management networks, and the process to create new additional, let's say, interface. So, in any case, whenever you are working with the Oracle VM Manager, you will see that the Oracle VM Manager needs networks, and the network can be seen as, let's say, a logical grouping, okay, of several networking interfaces, okay. It can be just one interface or several, let's say, network interfaces that they have to provide a certain functionality. So, remember that during the discovery of your servers, there will be one first network that it will be created automatically, which is called the management network, and through this management network, the manager can perform several operations to the servers. Of course, this management network can have also some other functionalities that we will see on the next slides, and of course, then you should create some additional networks, okay, in order to perform a better network design by using several other cards. So the good question is how many cards, okay, you dispose on every single physical host which is running the software. Are there any VLANs that you have already, or will you want to have a specific, let's say, configurations on your VLANs, okay, or your LANs by just making some additional enhancements on the physical configurations that you have so far. For the management network, okay, what we have on the left side of the slide, then if you have several subnets, okay, in this case you might see a second management network created into your servers, okay. Now, the management interface on the Oracle VM server. The management port is created as a bonded interface, okay, during the Oracle VM server installation, okay, and then in order to give higher availability, you have to create or you have to add another port, okay, by using the Oracle VM Manager, okay. So the bonding mode is set up in active backup configuration, and you have to specify VLAN ID, okay, for this kind of setup if you have VLANs, and in this case a VLAN interface, it is automatically created on the management, a VLAN interface created on the management bond, okay. Create additional networks, okay. When you have this kind of management networks already in place, then you can create additional networks, okay, because maybe you need some networks to improve your network design. So for each network that it is created by always using the Oracle VM Manager interface on command line, you have to select one or more network channels. We will see this in the labs, and associated this with network resources. So Oracle VM Manager are unaware of these network constructs. So whenever you are creating a new, let's say, network, okay, this it will be translated by seeing scripts that they will be uploaded to every obvious server, okay, and if you make any changes, then in this case these scripts, they will be modified, of course, by the Oracle VM Manager, okay, to the Oracle VS servers, and some informations, they will be also updated into the databases that are associated with this product. So, guidelines about creating networks, okay? So networks, they can be, according to your designs, dedicated or shared in these physical implementations. So now it's up to you to decide if you have, let's say, a network on a private segment that it can be used for a cluster heartbeat, okay? This is a good choice because in this case the cluster heartbeat it's a very sensible functionality, and it needs, let's say, private segments or a kind of isolation not to be disturbed, okay, and create additional issues. So live migration, it will be encrypted by using SSL, okay, and it can be, let's say, a good choice to have it in a dedicated network in order not to disturb other kind of functions that are running into your servers, okay. The network configuration is not depending to the server pool configurations, okay, but you have to take into account whenever you are creating networks, and in this case every server which is belonging to a pool has to have anyway the same network configuration, because this is needed in order to run the virtual machines in a more consistent way. So we will see actually what are the necessary steps in order to create or reconfigure the networks. So as you can see here, you can start by ports, okay, bonding interfaces, bridges, and VLAN interfaces. So we will see actually the different configurations that you might run. These notions are very close to the notions that we know already on Linux. So combination of several, let's say, network interfaces can be seen as bonds, okay, and then as you can see here, the Oracle VM server for X86, you can put up to 256 ports to a bond, okay. Then according to your own IT infrastructure, you can create either active passive configurations where one card is active and the others, they will be activated, the next one will be activated, the first one fails. Dynamically aggregation, then all the NICs, they will get all the, let's say, traffic flow concurrently, okay, and in this case you will have a better throughput into your network. Active load balancing, so again the load balancing, the traffic will be load balanced to the ports, but this is not supported for certain VLAN configurations, so you have to be exactly sure if you need it or not, okay. Then if you need to create bonded interfaces, okay, whenever you have to create this kind of networks, then you have to configure the bond interface on every in its Oracle VM server. So here we have, let's say, some examples of network bonding, okay. So as you can see here, the Oracle VM Manager with on the left side is using, let's say, a bond which is used to manage, let's say, the management network, the heartbeat, and the live migration. And then we have created a bond 1 which is used to support, let's say, the virtual machine network. Okay. Network bridges, okay. Whenever you have to create virtual machines, and the virtual machines, they need to communicate between each other, or maybe with your own networks, okay? In this case, the Oracle VM, it will use bridges, okay, software bridges that they will be created, okay, so according to certain configurations, okay? And these bridges, they will be seen as, let's say, virtual switches that it will allow this kind of traffic among, let's say, hosts or virtual machines that are running inside these hosts, okay? So whenever you are creating this kind of configurations or networks with the virtual machine network, okay, so immediately a bridge, it will be created for the network that it will support the virtual machine network. The bridge, it will act as a layer 2, okay, that means that it direct packets to the other machines on this virtual switch, and of course the Ethernet port on or bond, it will be used if the destination of the packets, it is outside of this server which is hosting your virtual machines, okay? So the bridge and the Ethernet port or the bond in the bridge path do not require an IP address, okay? And then we have here some example of this implementation where we have an Oracle VM manager, okay? We have on the left side the bond 0, it's the management network, okay? And then we have the bond 1, which is configured to use, let's say, 2 network cards for the virtual machine network. This is creating immediately a bridge that it will be used to communicate the VMs on the server, which is on the left side, okay? And then, of course, this traffic can flow this bridge to the other servers, which are outside of the network of the first physical server. Okay. So, creating a network with VLAN support. Whenever you have to deal with this kind of configuration, okay, you have to know that Oracle VM supports multiple VLANs on the same port or bond. Okay. So, what you need in this case is that for each port or bond, okay, you have to specify already a VLAN ID that the network administrator has created outside of the virtualization of the OVS, and you will use it for your VLANs, okay? So, in these cases, we are expecting that somebody has created this kind of configuration already, and you will use the IDs that they are specified by your network, let's say, administrator, in order to implement this kind of particular VLANs inside your virtualization ID. Okay. Whenever we are using the Oracle VM, Oracle VLAN, okay, there are certain terminology terms like, let's say, the VLAN segment. So it is a network segment that is a subset of a larger network, and this supports VLAN tagging, okay, by using assigned VLAN IDs that are given from your network administrators. So the VLAN ID, it can be a number between 2 and 4094, okay, that it will be assigned to a VLAN segment by the VLAN interface. So it's the VLAN interface which is tagging and untagging actually the traffic, okay? And the VLAN interface, it's simply a network device on a host machine, okay, that implements this kind of functionality on the network flow which is used by your VMs. So the next slide here, it is just showing us this kind of implementation. Actually, we have an Ethernet switch which is support this kind of VLANs, okay? As you can see here, the network administrator has created already 2 VLANs, VLAN 2 and VLAN 3, okay? So these VLANs, they have to exist before to start to make this kind of configurations. And then we have to create, let's say, 2 segments, a VLAN segment number 2 and a VLAN segment number 3, which in turn they will create, let's say, the associated VLANs. And once that we are having this kind of VLANs, so traffic which is coming with the specific tag 2 or 3, it will be routed inside our virtualization infrastructure to the correct servers that they are using this kind of networks. So whenever you have to use this kind of configurations, okay, networks with VLAN support, you have to know exactly which interface, port or bond on each VM server will be supported or will be used for the VLAN traffic. Which VLAN segment you will use this kind of interfaces, and what is the network channel that it is created by using this kind of VLAN segments. So somebody has already to provide you this kind of support on the external switches, and what you have to do from the Oracle VM Manager, either by using the user interface on the command line or web service API, is to create the VLAN interfaces and deploy your VLAN capable networks. So on the next screen, simply we have actually the implementation of the VLAN interfaces. So in order to proceed, so you have to select several servers that they will support this kind of functionality. We have to select a port or bond, which is already done, and then you might choose an IP address on each VLAN interface. So once that you have created all these VLAN interfaces, okay, from the Oracle, of course, of the VM Manager, you are not allowed to go to make this kind of configuration straight to the Oracle VM servers. Then this VLAN interface, it will show up, okay, with the adequate configuration interface that you have already created, okay. So in these cases, you will see that a specific bridge, it will be created, and this bridge, it will allow you to flow the traffic, okay, to the correct, let's say, destinations, and this is the way that it is used inside your Oracle VS servers kind of VLANs, okay. Now, in this kind of screen, we have the way that you can create these VLANs either by using, let's say, the web interface, okay. So create a network with ports, bonds, with a VLAN interface. Otherwise, you can use the command line, okay, and during the labs, we will run actually this kind of configuration, so you will see actually how this is configured. So how you have to manage the network with the Oracle VM Manager. So if you plan to use bonding, so the bonding interfaces, they have to be created before the VLAN interfaces and networks. Now, before to make any kind of changes to your virtual machine network, because you are having virtual machines that are running and are using this kind of artifacts, you have to stop them because you might run into other issues, okay? So anytime that you're making any kind of configuration or deployment of networks, this is persistent on the server. How? Because the manager will deploy scripts, okay? So we have scripts that are deployed. You are not allowed to modify them manually, and part of these scripts might, okay, stop here, okay? No. And if a network configuration fails, the Oracle VM Manager, it will trigger a network rediscovery for every its Oracle VM server which is participated in this kind of failed operation. So we have actually one last quiz, okay? Which Oracle VM Manager network channel is not valid, okay? So live, migrate, virtual machine, storage, EPMI. So if you recall, whenever we are creating networks, we have the management network, live migration network, the heartbeat network, the virtual machine and storage, but the EPMI is not existing, so the correct choice for this answer, not valid network, it is the EPMI. So we have seen actually how you have to prepare your network environment, let's say the concepts, the tools, the operations that you can do to your networks, and with the practice 3, okay, we have to, while you run it, you will see how you have to run the discovery, how you have to create a virtual machine, how you have to create a specific dedicated cluster heartbeat network. Why? Because this is a very sensitive functionality that is used for the cluster pools, okay? How you have to check bonds and bridges on the Oracle VM servers, and how you have to create a network with VLAN support, knowing that this is just a simple demo, and in our labs we don't have this kind of VLAN support, but you will see how you have to use this functionality if you need this kind of setup for your virtualization. So this is the end of the part 3, okay, chapter 3, part 3. Practice 3-1. Discover Oracle VM Server from the Oracle VM Manager user interface and the Oracle VM CLI. So for this part, we will go a little bit further. We have to discover actually our servers from the manager perspective. Okay, so we will start by using the interface of the browser actually. So you have to start your, let's say, Firefox, okay, and then the URL that you have to give here, it is http://ovmmgr 0.1.2.7.0.0.2/ovm/console, okay. Have my HTTPS 2 points. Okay. Advanced add exception. Okay. Confirm security exception. Okay. Okay. So in this case, what we have to provide here, the user admin that has been created already, with the password myoracle1. Okay. Okay, here we are. So actually this is the panel of the Oracle VM Manager. Okay. Now if you navigate here to the unassigned servers, we see that we have not discovered anything, okay, so far, okay. So our goal so far it is just to discover the two servers that we have, the OVSVR01, OVSVR02. So we have to perform two kind of manual discovery through this panel, okay. You have to provide the agent password OVS agent, and the IP of one of the first of the two servers, 192.0.2.101. Okay, let's go for this. Okay, here you are. So you will see that a task, it is launched here, where I put my cursor, okay. Immediately you have an entry here. Let's click here. So a discovery is going on. So we have the first results with a little log, okay, on the OVSVR01. So at this point, as you can see here, job is launched. It is running until the end, okay, until the moment that the server now has been discovered and owned by the manager. So next thing is that you have to click on the entry. Okay, so you can see here actually the IP address into which the manager has been based to discover the server, the roles of the server, which is a utility NVM, so it can be used to manipulate file systems, imports to repositories, and can run VMs. Owned by you means that the manager has discovered it. Okay. Advanced, it is, let's say, we will see that it is having a specific user ID, okay, every server, okay. And then we will see that in this case, the server supports all these kind of actions, okay. And then let's go to see about the networks, okay. If you click on the networks, you will see that a management network has been created, okay, with server management, cluster heartbeat, and live migration capabilities. Okay, so for the rest of the labs, we have to discover, okay, the second server, which is the OVS VR02, by using our command line. Okay, so to do so, I'm bringing back, let's say, my previous opened, let's say, OVS CLI cell, okay, or command line. Okay, so let's try to play with some commands. Okay, list server. Okay, so this first command, it is just giving me the servers that the manager has been already discovered. Okay, so we see actually that the server has discovered, the manager has discovered already the OVS VR01, and then we have another server which is our OVS VR02. So in order to launch this kind of discovery through the OVM CLI, you have simply to launch a very simple command. So all these things also, they are documented in the let's say documentation of the CLI. Okay, discover server with the IP address, which is now it's the 102. Take ownership. Yes. So please see that on the same time here, a second job here where I put my cursor has been launched. If you click on the servers and VMs, a second server now is coming with a lock. Okay, I will bring back again my PuTTY session. So the job is still running. As you see here, the command is really blocked until that the server will be fully discovered and the status is success. So as you can see here behind, I'm having actually two servers, okay? And again, if you want to execute the command list server, let's go to see what we have so far. Now we have two lines, okay? OVS VR02, OVS VR01, okay? Two servers there, okay? And then if you go and you make exactly the same things as we have done so far, okay? You see that the server is owned by you with the interface, okay? You can see actually other capabilities as the number of Ethernet ports, okay? One port that it has been created to the first interface, okay? To be able to, let's say, discuss with the server. And then the same thing, copy, let's go back to my PuTTY. You don't need to close your sessions, so just open your session and keep it there, list port. So as you can see here, we see that there are 4 ports on the OVS VR01 and 4 ports on the OVS VR02. List bond port. So 2 bond ports on the ETS0 for the OVS VR01, OVS VR02. So this is the end of the practice 3-1. Practice 3-2, create the virtual machine network, okay? So we have already discovered our servers. Now we have to try to manipulate the networks, okay, in order to create, let's say, a virtualized network infrastructure for our servers and services. So I'm still having, let's say, I'm logged as an admin, okay, into the system. Okay, so you have to click on the network tab here, as we have done it before. So you will see that actually there is a management network, okay, that it has created by default, okay, which is having the following capabilities: server management, cluster heartbeat, and live migration. So my manager is asking me just to create a new network, okay, for every server, okay. So if I need to create, let's say, a new network. Okay, we are doing this kind of exercise with the graphical user interface. You click to this cross here. So create a network with port, bonds, VLAN interfaces. Okay, then this network will be used for the VM traffic. Okay, virtual machine traffic. They just told me to name it VM_net, okay? And then this will be used for virtual machine network traffic. Here you are. Cross this, next. And then, as we have been saying to this course, then you have to associate this network with ports, okay, that they are where to your servers. So let's go to click to our unassigned servers. And as you notice, there are now 3 ports left for any further network manipulation. The ETS0 has already been taken by the management interface, so you choose, as my manager was asking me, or somebody, or the customer, to take the ETS1, okay. So you click this, and then you go to the, let's say, manipulation of the internals of these networks. So what we are asking you, it is just to edit the networks that they will be created by giving a static allocation with one IP address for every server. So OVSVR01, it has to have, let's say, the 192.168.1.101, okay? So 255.255.255.0, okay? Here you are. And you will do the same thing for the OVSVR2, so static, so whatever is ending by 02, it has to be replaced by 02, so 192.1.1.02, because I'm working with the OVSVR2, okay. 255.0. Apparently I have done a mistake here. Okay. It's good that I'm making mistakes, so you will see how you have to correct them. Okay. So if you scroll to another thing, okay, so it's okay. No bonding, so you click OK, and here you are. Okay. Then this kind of configuration so far so good. Okay. If you have done any mistakes, of course you can go back and correct them. Okay, then let's click to the control to select both. Okay, next, VLAN interfaces. So we don't need any additional interface about VLANs because we are not supposed to work with VLANs in this lab anyway. And at the finish, at the end of this thing, you will see that a job is launched. Okay. We have already the virtual machine created, virtual machine network, okay? And jobs, they have been passing to every server. So that means that additional scripts now, they have been uploaded to every server to which the port has to participate with this kind of configurations, okay? With this kind of VM networks. So let's click now to the servers, no matter which one. So if you click to the Ethernet ports, you will see now that we have actually, on the ETS1, one allocation that it has been created, 192.168.1.101, it is what I have been giving, okay, and the same thing should go to the OVSVR2. Let's make a refreshment just to be sure. Okay, and again we have the correct information. Okay, so as you have seen, okay, it's very easy to make this kind of configurations on our servers. And please remember that this kind of information has been now uploaded into your OVS VR02, okay? So this is the end of the lab, okay? Here we are, okay. Practice 3-3, create a cluster heartbeat network, okay? So we have to create, in this practice, a separate cluster heartbeat network, okay? Because if you take the initial networking setup, you will see that the cluster heartbeat, it is targeted or it is used through the management network, okay? So in these cases, you get again your your Firefox, okay? Uh, and then we have to modify this network, so you have to click only once here, then click on the pencil, okay? As you can see here, we can see the configuration which is targeted to the management network. You just unselect the cluster heartbeat, okay? Click OK. So the operation is completed. Okay, so you have to wait a little bit that a specific job will be launched. Okay, so in this case, well, as you can see here, the cluster heartbeat is not using the same network as the management network. Okay, so we have now to specify where this kind of cluster heartbeat network will be located. Okay, uh, so let's use the CLI. So to use the CLI, okay, let's list our networks. So we have created actually the VMnet, okay, which is having an internal ID of 102C678D09 and the traditional, let's say, a management network, okay. So let's see actually the characteristics of this network. I have to click inside. Okay, role management. So we can see that it is supporting the live migration, as you can compare actually the two screens, okay? And the name it is given 192.0.2.0. Okay, so we don't have to proceed in other modifications, okay, because we have already removed the, let's say, the live migration. Sorry, we have removed the cluster uh, heartbeat, okay. So the steps that you will see on the PDF file, you should not do them because we have done it already manually, okay. And then we have to go back to our user interface to create the heartbeat network. So in order to create a new modification in our systems, click to the green arrow, create a network, the first choice, next. So let's give him a name, HB underscore net, cluster heartbeat, next. So we have to select ports, and then we have to assign them to the ETS0, ETS2, sorry, 1, 2 here. Okay, so we have to edit. 192.168.2.10.01. Okay. For the second server, the same thing. Okay, just check that your values are okay, and then next, you're going back to the screen. Okay, so select the VLAN interfaces. We don't have to provide any kind of VLAN interfaces. Finish. Jobs that will be executed in order to deploy this configuration to every server. Okay, as you can see here, the last two lines concerns the configuration of this service to OVS VR01 and OVS VR02 ports. Okay, so it is successful. Okay, and then this is the end of the practice 3-3. Practice 3-4, check bonds and bridges on the Oracle VM servers. Okay, so this practice assumes that already you have done the previous steps successfully. Okay, so what we need to do now it is to get logged to our servers and make a test of this configuration, or to see how these things they have been implemented into our servers. So again, I will use a putty here. I have just to quit this session. Okay, cd hostname clear. Okay, I have done just an SSH that it's always open as a session to the base station, and from there on I have to make an SSH to the OVS VR02 Oracle. Okay, so clear, just to have a little more space, efconfig-a. So you can see actually on the bond 0 some additional information. So you can see that the IP address is 192.0.2.1.2. Okay, if we quit the server and we go to the OVSVR01, okay, efconfig-a. For the bond 0 again, we have the same information. Okay, for the ETH, you can see that it's in a slave. Sorry. Now this one, ETH slave. Okay. And then of course you have the ETH 1, 2, 3, 4. We have already created these addresses in the previous lab. Okay. Another thing, let's see now the bridges. Okay. That they have been created. BRCTL. So actually we have one bridge, okay, that it has been created, and this bridge has to be let's say associated with the ETH1 interface. It is the same thing with the second server. Okay, BRCTL. So Okay. So you notice that again this bridge, it is associated with the interface ETH1. Okay, and compare also the same configuration or nearly the same. Okay, so we have actually bridges that they are created. Okay, in our case only one bridge that it is letting the network traffic for the VMs to be associated and to be seen from external servers. So this is the end of the practice 3.4. Okay, the practice 3-5, create a network with a VLAN support. So in this practice, we have to create a network with VLAN support. So we have first to create VLAN interfaces, and then we have to assign a VLAN segment ID to each VLAN interface. Then we have to assign the VLAN interfaces to a network just in the same way as you have assigned ports or bound to networks as we have seen in the previous practices. Okay, and then you can use the VLAN, let's say, infrastructure, and it has been set up to your enterprise. So in these cases, we have to create this kind of configuration, but we will not use this kind of, let's say, setup for the further labs. It's just a way to see how the system can be configured if you need to use this VLAN semantics. So to create this VLAN interface, again, you click here VLAN interfaces. Okay, and once that you click here, you have to click again to the green cross, create a VLAN interface, and you have to associate this VLAN interface with the ETH3. Okay, next. In the select VLAN ID, you have to put, let's say, the VLAN ID 4. Okay, you have just to enter only on the first text box, okay, and then you have to put it into the screen, okay. So you have to give again actually another VLAN ID, which is the 137 tab. Okay, so if this is not working, 37, okay, then you click here add. Okay, so we have created all these things, okay, and then you can continue by okay, we have created it 437. Then you click on next. So as you can see here, this is already associated with your interfaces, okay, and then we have to configure IP information if you want that the VLAN interfaces, they have to have one certain IP whenever they will be created, okay. So for our case, for the port 4 here, static. So the IP address, it will be 192.168.3.101. Okay. So just be sure that you're working with the appropriate port. Okay, finish. So jobs that are triggered, as you can see on the bottom of your screen here. And then if you click to the servers, okay, you can see the information of this in this tab. Okay, so now let's display the network devices created on each of these OVM servers. So again, let's make an SSH to the OVSVR01. ifconfig-a ef. So let's see on the ETS 3.4, okay, here, okay, the 137 as well, but this one doesn't have any IP address associated, okay, and you can see the same thing on the second server. Okay, and this is not having any IP address. Okay, once that we have finished this kind of examination, we can use the CLI, okay, and we can use the command list VLAN interface, which is exactly what you will see, okay, here. So I'm just pushing again my putty in front of the screen. Okay. So now we can go a little bit further by creating a network, okay, which will allow, let's say, the traffic on the VLAN ID 4, okay. So if you have this kind of requirements, again, you have to go to the networking. Okay, networks, okay. Then you have to create a new network. So I have been clicking here, networks, green cross, okay. Create a new network, okay. Next. So let's call this network storage_net, okay. It has to be chosen as storage, okay. We need to work with VLANs. So VLAN interfaces, okay. And then we have to choose the Ethernet 3.4. Try to make this a little bit bigger. We can put it on both servers, okay? Why not? In the labs, they are just asking to use only one server. Okay. And then you click Finish. So the storage net has been created, okay? Storage, okay? So this is just a demo. We will not use the storage net in the rest of the lab practices, okay? And this is the end of the practice 3.5.